Okay, good evening, everybody. So I have been reading this book, Behind the Closed Doors: Secrets of Great Management, by Johanna Rothman and Lisa Derby. These are the same authors who wrote a couple of very influential books, like One Minute Manager and several others. These are, the great authors. So the first question to ask is, why did I choose this book? As you guys know, I have accepted a management position recently. It's a full-time management role. I've been managing people for several years, but not as a 100% active role. So first time I picked up. So I was wondering, like, what would be great management like? So how can I be a better manager? So what would it take to go to the next level? Then I was searching for the books that are relevant, and then I picked up this book. So yes, so let's talk about what exactly is management. Some people may thought that management or managing people, it's all about managing is all about dealing with the people. Some people might have the perception that managing is all about dealing with the tasks. Okay, but these authors say that the great management is about leading and developing people along with managing the tasks. So it's the combination of both. So you will have to be able to lead and develop people. So you will be in your management position or management role. You will have opportunity to work with the people. Okay, people will report to you, or people will work for you in a not so great way of putting it. Okay, so how can you extract the 100% out of them? So you being a leader, you will have to be able to analyze their strengths and weaknesses. Okay, and then dealing with the tasks, again, how can you influence them to get their tasks done effectively and collectively as a team is the principal theme behind great management in a nutshell. So when you join a new organization, these others say that there are three things that you want to learn in the new organization. The first thing is people and their strengths and interests. So go interact with the people as much as you can. Okay, people who report to you and even others. Okay, in your organization, go try to find out all the people and their strengths and what are their interests. Okay, and then also, especially in your department, try to understand the stated mission of the group, meaning what is the purpose of what exactly, what value are they delivering in your group. Okay, try to understand that, and then try to also understand how your group fits into the larger organization. You work for a bigger company, right? Within the bigger company, you may be working in a small department. Within the department, you are acting as a manager or a director. So one of the leadership roles. So whatever the work that your group does, how does it fit into the bigger picture of the organization? So try to understand these three things, and then come and take a look at what people are doing, and you will be able to, once you understand the company's vision, okay, and also your group's vision, then your group, as a manager or as a leader, you will be able to kind of steer the direction of the group's vision if it doesn't align with the company's vision. Does it make sense? So the authors actually talked about few tips for effective management. So they gave some practical tips around how you can manage the team effectively. So one of the points that they mention is weekly one-on-ones. So one-on-ones is where, oh, by the way, let me step back for a second and then mention that this book is mainly for the people who have started their career as a manager or senior manager. So it's mainly for them. It's not for the executive leadership who have been doing this for years or decades. So they talked about weekly one-on-ones. So weekly one-on-ones. So one-on-ones is a system where you will actually meet with every single reporting individual on a weekly basis. So this is where you will get a lot of opportunities for your coaching, feedback. We'll talk about it in the subsequent slides. But be committed to these weekly one-on-ones. So don't try to cancel them. There are some practical tips that he gave. Don't try to cancel them. Don't try to show your commitment, because it's for the people. Because you have to respect your people. Then only they'll be able to. They'll have trust in you, and they'll have trust in your leadership, and then only they will deliver the value. Is the essential idea. And always have keep your eyes open and notice good things and comment on it. Walk on the floor and then try to observe some good things that are happening and then comment on them. So this is an interesting point. The third point: leave your office. They came up with this MBWAL. It's an acronym that stands for Management by Wandering Around and Listening. So don't sit in your office. Go wander around the office. Go wander around the complete floor, and then go to people's desk and then talk to them and then see what their interests are. Because you want to connect to the people as much as possible. That's when you want to earn their trust, and then only you'll be able to unleash their full potential. Is the idea behind it. And then there is another interesting aspect that I have not been familiar with. He has used something called project portfolio. So all the people that are working for you and all the projects that they are working on, put a nice chart and then have a plan. So when new work comes in, you can definitely prioritize it and then see where it goes, who's going to do it, etc. So it's a practical tip. I am not going to go into any details there. Okay, so he talked about one-on-ones in depth. In fact, he gave a template of how the effective one-on-ones are going to look like. So when you meet with my individual reportees, so one-on-ones are the best places to build the relationship. That's when, not just at the project level or at the task level, talk to them at the personal level. Okay, try to tap into their personal life and then see what their kids are doing or what their interests are. So try to build that relationship with the people, and then this is the best place for coaching. So if they are aspiring for something, and if you happen to have worked on that particular area, try to coach as much as possible. Coaching is one thing. It's not a feedback, by the way. It's coaching is kind of you are helping him succeed or her succeed in the career along with the personal interests. And this you can use one-on-ones. It's a great place for feedback also. So this is where you can give the feedback, what good they're doing, and what are the things that they can improve upon. So use the one-on-ones. And then this is where you can talk about the career development. Ask them what their aspirations are. Where do they want to go in the organization or outside the organization? What exactly are they trying to achieve? So try to build that relationship. And also you can get status reporting about your projects and other miscellaneous things. Well, the feedback. So others have talked in length about how the feedback should be and how they should not be. Some best practices around feedbacks. So feedback is where you will try to give the things to improve upon, right? Typically. So provide timely feedback is one of the aspects. So don't wait until your quarterly review or year-end review, okay? So try to give as quick feedback as possible. When an incident happened, go talk to them. If things have gone wrong, you don't need to judge them, but have a conversation immediately, and then try to analyze both of you together, and then see if you have something to say about it, or find an alternative or find opportunities to improve. Deliver feedback in private. Provides as close to the event as possible. Yeah, as soon as possible it happened. Deliver feedback in private. So always things to improve upon, try to deliver them in private. But when you need to appreciate them in public, so that they'll feel good about it. It's a great point. Detail the behavioral result, meaning don't say at the high level that your work is sloppy. No, go into the detail and then try to put it in as softly as possible. Be very straight. There's no point about it. But try to detail the behavior. What exactly has caused this sloppiness? So work on that. Try to mention that. And then the most important point is listen to what other person has to say. Maybe there is a genuine reason. So always don't come to any conclusion. Listen to their story. Keep notes of feedback conversations. This particular point is great. I've never kept my feedback conversations, but I'm going to. Now with my direct reportees, I want to do that. So every feedback conversation I have it, so that on what day, what kind of feedback I gave. In fact, I wanted to start recording my one-on-ones also. So I had one-on-ones with John, let's say, and then list down what and all we talked about. It's a great way to effectively manage it, because at the time of quarterly review or mid-year review or year-end review, you can collect those feedbacks, collect those all the conversations, and then you'll be able to present it to them. Okay, so as a manager, you'll have to deal with the hard things also. Sometimes feedback, feedback sometimes may not work. Meaning people are not doing a good job. Some people they don't. Well, how do you have to deal with them? So there are some practical advices that they gave. Start with a verbal warning. In private, take him or her to your office and then give them a verbal warning. Say, and be as specific as possible. Last couple of months, your work has been to the standard that I want it to be. So give very specific feedback, but again, give it as a verbal warning. And then even if that doesn't work, if that doesn't do any good, then deliver a written warning. This will actually act as a proof that you gave a warning when you have to deal with, when you have to let him go or let her go. And then implement a get well plan. This is where you'll actually have to involve HR and then work on a get well plan. So get well plan is nothing but a fixed amount of time. That's where the person has to prove that he's improving. That's what is get well plan. So you will actually deal with HR, and then things are not working out good. So even if none of them work out, then unfortunately you have to let him or her go. So the reason you have to take those hard choices is because don't underestimate the impact of poor performance. It's not just one person. That one person could drag the whole team down. So as a manager, you have to be able to make those hard decisions. Okay, and then in length, others also talked about coaching. Some practical tips around coaching. Always use your one-on-ones for effective coaching. And then how can you give coaching? It's kind of a helping. And then generate options. If he or she wants to improve in a specific area, work with him or her, and then find out what are all the options available, and then see if he's open or she is open for coaching. Sometimes coaching may or may not work. So he has to be completely willing to be coached. Okay, if he doesn't have a proper heart, then there's no point in coaching. Okay, so the individual goals, like a feedback coaching, others also talked about individual goals. So you try to set up individual goals for your team members and then ask them what their interests are, as I mentioned in one-on-ones, right? So once you know their aspirations, try to put their yearly goals and then use your weekly one-on-ones on status. So where are they with that? Okay, and then progress. So they will really, really appreciate it. Others strongly think, and I strongly agree with them too, that they really appreciate it because you are working for their career building, right? So track action plans in one-on-one, very important. And then this is another, as I was saying, this is another tidbit or a tip that they gave. Project portfolio, something that I have not something that I have not done before. Project portfolio essentially means that you have all the people that report to you versus all the projects that they are working on in the coming weeks and coming months. And then when a new work comes in, you don't have to, there's no chaotic situation there. You clearly know what people are working on it, and then when new work comes in, prioritize it. Either some work has to be swapped or bringing in new people. Yeah. So essentially, that's about the project portfolio. I particularly liked it. That's why I put it out there. Okay, this is another practical tip that I particularly liked. Whenever you are at a decision making point, okay, so others are recommending this rule of 3. So go for always 3 alternatives whenever you need to make a decision. Don't settle for one. It's easy to settle for one. One alternative is a trap, pretty much. It's very tempting to think that there is only one alternative and this is it. This is the solution. It's easy to think that, but no. Stretch your brain and then think creatively and find out more alternatives. 2 alternatives is a dilemma. It's neither this nor that. Pretty much this or that. No, go for 3. 3 alternatives provide a real choice, and then do a pros and cons of all 3 alternatives. I like this rule of 3. I wanted to put it out there. So when you judge a person or assess a person, judging probably is not the right word, assessing. When you are assessing the people that report to you, you think it's easy to assess, but it's not. Because a lot of times it's not the other person's, you may be the reason why things are not working out well. So ask these questions. Have I communicated my priorities? Did I make it absolutely clear? Because that's where a lot of communication gap. You think you have delivered it, but no, the other person is thinking it's all fuzzy. Maybe they are not asking the right questions. So try to make your point, your priorities crystal clear. Are my expectations understood? So very clear expectations. There should not be any ambiguity in expectations. That is when you'll be able to say that your work hasn't been meeting the expectations. Have I been clear in making assignments? So even here, so you have to define the boundaries of their work. What are you expecting them to do it within the boundary? So, yep, and then discuss the options for gaining any necessary skills. This is to go to the next level, essentially. Okay, and then also others have talked about several concepts around pretty much being a manager. You have to be able to hire candidates, as we talked about feedback, firing, etc. So one of the aspects is hiring a new candidate. So they talked about some best practices about hiring a new candidate. Hire the best, Analyze the job. A lot of times your job description is very ambiguous, is what the authors say. In my 20 plus years of experience here, I totally agree with that. And then source candidates. Not just don't go to one source. Go to different sources to get the candidates. And then categorize the candidates into 3 different buckets. Yes, by looking at the resume, you'll know. Yep, I want to pick him or her for next round of interviews. Or no, down, or then maybe. So categorize them, and then develop some behavior related questions. It's not just the straight questions, but you want to throw some vague questions to see how well they can bring the clarity by asking the right questions. That's a very, very, very important skill. So it's about the hiring a new candidate. Okay, so lastly, management will not be complete without this step. The most important, in my opinion, and others think that too, is manage yourself. Okay, managing others. So before you manage others, you have to be able to manage yourself and manage your emotions. Okay, so you don't want to show tantrums in the teams and in the workplace, or you have to be able to manage your emotions very effectively. So first thing is awareness is the first step. So try to understand, try to learn more about yourself and your emotions and what are the triggering points, and then do some soft, show your emotions in a softer way. Write down on a piece of paper, okay? And then, and always think that this is your reaction to other person's behavior. It's not, he's not making you angry. That's how you reacted to it. So put always that into perspective, and 90% of the problems will be solved. So manage your emotions, essentially. Yes, there is a great book out there called Emotional Intelligence. So I highly recommend that. And obtain feedback from trusted colleagues. So if you really, really trust one of your colleagues who can give honest feedback, go ask him, hey, how do you think I've been doing in this job, especially with the people? Have I been showing my aggression, my anger with the people? Or what do you think? So get some feedback and improve upon. Continuous improvement is the way to go, obviously. And that's it. So in summary, management exists to organize purposefully. So you have to understand what the organization's vision is, and then align your people, align your team to the organization goals. And then great leadership is always about working with the people and knowing the people, especially their strengths, weaknesses, and their interests, and then provide them career choices, help them go to the next level, and always respect them, learn about them, and respect them as people. Okay. And then another important aspect, actually, they had 1 or 2 chapters about how you have to deal with other managers within the organization. So you'll have to treat them as a team. So as your team, so that you'll be able to effectively collaborate with them and then develop shared goals. So that's it. That's about the behind the closed doors and secrets of great management. Any questions? Yes.
You know that thing before you said that MB something?
Yes, MBWAL.
Yeah, isn't that?
Management by wandering around and learn.
Yeah, isn't that eavesdropping?
Eavesdropping? Okay, so there is a point. That's a great point, actually. So you have to draw a line there also. So you don't want to go there and then stand behind their desk, okay, and then see what they're doing. That's not what it is. So that's That's a very annoying micromanagement at the worst. Okay, so you don't want to do that. But always, you don't want to sit in your office. There's somewhere there's a midpoint, right? So don't sit in your office, because if you don't sit around in your office, you don't understand what's going on. So you want to understand the people. You want to mingle with the people, because leadership is mainly about getting involved with the people, right? Because you want to learn more about the people. Show active interest in learning them. And what actually others mention is that when you go wander around it, take a small book and pen, observe the good things, observe even bad things. Okay, that's how you know that how can we improve the situation. Make sense? That's a great question. Any questions?
So, how many days ago you finished this book?
This book I took.
More than a month.
Yes.
No. I'm not asking how long you
Right.
take to finish this book. I'm asking how many days ago you finished this book before this presentation.
How many days before did I finish this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I read this book a month back, I think,
Okay.
and then I started collecting the notes only today.
Okay. So, in this 1 month, you're going to your office daily and you're in the managing position. And did you find any difference in yourself?
Yes, definitely. So, some of these points I have definitely taken them to office,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's all about self improvement, right? Continuous improvement. Definitely, I have taken especially those one-on-ones,
Mm-hmm.
the feedback, coaching, and fellow management team, fellow managers, right? So work with them as a team. So I have definitely taken them, and in fact, I actually showed it to my boss also. My boss's boss. I was recommending this book, and maybe they have been managing it for decades, so maybe they don't need to. It's probably commonsensical things for them,
Mm-hmm.
but it's I felt particularly useful.
Oh, that's fine. Good.
Any other questions? Very good question.
That's it.
Wonderful.
It's a good one though.
Thank you.
It's a banger.
You